Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's quick instant reaction, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. All of our episodes and interviews are on there, from episode 1 to the weekly release. Check those out. Our interview section has a ton of great horror legends on there. We just recently had James U. Courtney back on again. Before you go check out Halloween Ends, go check out that interview. He gives out a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff, and he says a lot of cool stuff in that. So I highly recommend you check it out. We've got
Great
our
interview.
store. We got some new T-shirts, some new merch, new apparel, and friend of the show, teammate of the show, Shan. She's on with us tonight. Her Etsy page is attached as well. She's got a ton of tumblers from Beetlejuice, Stranger Things, your favorite slasher, everything, anything horror related you want, she's got it, or she can make it. So definitely hit her up, check it out. And the last thing I want to shout out is our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. We truly love interacting with our fans. We love meeting new people. We love growing this show. And we love answering your questions, reading your comments on the air. So definitely check us out. Tonight, me and Shannon are just going to give a quick instant reaction to Hocus Pocus 2. It came out, September, the end of September?
30th.
The 30th. I couldn't remember. It's been a couple weeks since it came out. We finally had the time to do this. But, I was one of those people, honestly, who just thought, really, do we need a Hocus Pocus 2? I mean, how many years has it been since, 19 years since this movie came out?
1993. So yeah.
19, almost 20 years since this movies
Yep.
came out, the original anyways. But I'll be honest with you, after I watched the trailer over at my girlfriend's house, I was like, I'm not really feeling it. But after watching it, I'm just being honest, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie for the most part. I don't really have many complaints about it. I didn't expect much, so maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much. I didn't have super high expectations. But the Sanderson sisters, they killed it. I love seeing like the little, was maybe like 10-minute origin at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed that because I'm a big fan of, like the witch, stuff like that. So I enjoyed that part. And the sisters, they killed it. I love just them not being, they were so clueless about how the real world worked now. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it, honestly. Shan, what'd you think before we just jump into our pros and our cons and all that?
So I love Hocus Pocus. Been a huge fan of it for years. That movie, Hocus Pocus 2, was rumored, no joke, probably for the last 10 years. You would always see stuff popping up on social media like, oh, it's happening, it's happening. And then the cast would always come out and they're like, it's not happening. We're not doing it. And then so when they finally said it really was, it still kind of was like, okay, yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. And I was super excited. And then I didn't get to watch it right when it came out and started hearing the downfall of social media. It's like you hear more of like people complaining and they didn't like it and this and that. And so I went from having like being excited to didn't have high expectations for it. And I actually watched it on the plane as I came down to Florida and I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. But I enjoyed it. Did I enjoy
Yes.
it as much as the original? Definitely not. But there was definitely some good points to it. I thought they used the modernness to their advantage. Um, some of the actors, especially the ones very in the very beginning with the origins of them, I thought the little girls were great.
They were. I
Um,
agree.
so yeah, I thought it was decent.
And funny you mentioned you love Hocus Pocus. I do too. I don't know if it's just a nostalgia or if it's just a great movie. I don't know. But fun fact, we're reviewing that movie next week on Don't Go Out There. So look forward to Mike and Dustin hating on my movie, but I don't care. I love the movie, and it's gonna be fun to review it. Let's just jump into our positives, and I'm just gonna just piggyback right off what you just said. The sisters were great. Give them a shout out. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, I think is how you say it,
I
perhaps.
think so.
They were great as the sisters. I can't give them enough praise. They look almost the exact same as well as 93. I don't know if it was makeup or they just aged gracefully, but they look fantastic as the witches. They acted fantastic. Mary was still hilarious. Sarah was still ditzy, and Winifred was still, kind of a bitch, but she was great. And she
Yeah.
got very emotional at the end. And I appreciated it. But I think Whitney Peak as Becca, I think she did a great job. I think Gilbert, Sam Richardson is his real name, the guy who owned the magic shop or whatever. I thought
Yeah.
he was fun as well. But I think one of my biggest praises of this is Doug Jones, Billy Butcherson. I'm
Yes.
glad he got to talk in this movie. He was
I
fun.
I am
I
glad we got
thoroughly enjoyed
much
him.
more of him because Doug Jones and everything that he does is always so amazing. So to actually get a little bit more of him in this movie was definitely a huge plus.
Absolutely, and I think his makeup and costume looked fantastic. Doug Jones is a legend. He's been in a lot of stuff. Would thoroughly enjoy getting him on the show one day if we can make that happen. But like you said, I'm gonna give a shout out to Taylor Henderson. She was young Winifred in this movie. She was great. Like she was fantastic. I don't really have any complaints about the acting per se. The story I thought was fine. I thought it was a. I feel like the story justified making the sequel. Does that make sense, Shan? Like I don't think it was just a
Yeah.
rehash or anything.
Yeah, as they went through in the very beginning and did the background, I was like, I actually would have been okay to even see where it was the prequel of how did we like showed them as they were young. Like I could have taken that whole beginning and had that be a longer movie and see more of this is how we got to where we were in 93. Like
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. Like you said, it was only 10 minutes, but I enjoyed seeing kind of that background and how they got to where they were. I did see one thing that the witch that they meet in the woods, um, if you look at the 1993 one, the costume that um, I just blanked on her name, Danny is wearing is
Mm-hmm.
very similar to the witch they meet in the woods.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I'm sure that upon multiple watches of the second one, you would definitely see more and more of the tiny little like throwbacks to the original, which is always neat when they can kind of tie those together, but not blatantly just throw it out there. So I thought it was definitely interesting. The story definitely, I was kind of surprised. It actually kind of made sense of like, we're not just doing this to like for a cash grab. Like because I kind of went in after I started hearing some negative stuff and I was thinking, I was like, there's going to be no point to this story. But honestly, I thought it made sense as to why they went with it. And they did some different things. It wasn't just the same movie a second time around.
Agree
So
100%. And I have to give a big compliment. The only thing I really, I'll touch on it when we get to the cons. There was a lot of singing. Could have did without maybe one song scene, but
I wrote that
The
for the very
Walgreens
first
scene.
song they did. I was
Yeah,
like,
as soon as
what
they
is the
come back,
point
they're
of
singing.
this? I was so pissed. I literally like I had paper and I'm like, they literally came out singing. I'm like, no, we don't need this. Like I
Yeah.
get it when they did the singing later, that was totally fine. It was on par with what they had done before because it was what they used basically to enchant people. But yeah,
Hmm.
the coming out first thing, and I was like, no, we don't need this.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
get
come
it.
on.
It's Disney and there's a lot of musical stuff, but it felt forced.
Yeah,
Whereas
I
when they did it
agree.
later in the movie, it didn't feel that way. It felt natural to what they had done before, of how they enchanted the parents and all that stuff. And it was like, so in certain places, I don't have a problem with it. In other areas, it just doesn't work for me.
Oh, I agree. But I have to give a big praise to the Walgreens scene. That was probably my favorite scene of the entire movie. Just these girls are telling the Sanderson sisters to, eat lotion and soap and all that.
That was
And then
funny.
it was so funny. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then, they got dress up or look-alikes. They all dress up in the same costumes, taking selfies with the Sanderson sisters. I loved it, honestly. I thought the Walgreens scene was great.
I
I had a lot of fun, I had a lot of fun with this movie.
I made a point. I wrote it down in regards to that scene specifically. That's where I was saying how they use the technology to their advantage to a point.
Mhm.
Is they use the Snapchat filter, so all of a sudden they think they are younger after
Yep.
having. And I'm like, that actually was really smart.
Oh, and another thing I thought was hilarious too was they use different kinds of vacuums and brooms. They use like the Roombas, and then
The
they use like
Roombas, the Swiffer, and the
yeah, the
then just the
Swiffer.
old style.
I thought that was great too. Great touch, honestly. Like you said, they use the times in the proper way. They I don't know how to phrase it. Well, I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They use the year 2022 and the technology advances the right way. Uh, you got any more positives? I thought the look of the book was great. I like
Mhm.
how they
I
used the
like how
book
the
to
book
find the
became a
sister.
character
Yes, it was just
more
more
so
than
than
just
it
a book.
was.
Yes, like at the end, the book had, it got to make its own choice as well.
Yeah,
So, and before we move on to our, things we might have disliked, the ending, Bette Miller did a great job at the end. When she did the forbidden spell for, I can't remember the exact term, but she spoiler.
maximum. It was like the maximum power or whatever. Yeah, something along those lines.
Yep, and spoiler alert if you haven't watched the movie yet, but when you do this spell, you basically sacrifice the things you love in life the most. And, it was her sister. So her sisters went away and she did a great job being emotional. She's saying, I love my sisters more than anything. Without them, I am nothing. It was very emotional. I thoroughly enjoyed the ending. And uh, I hope it ends there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
want to
want
see
to,
another one after that. I like how they ended it. Did you watch the bonus scene? Because my daughter didn't realize there was a bonus scene.
I think I might have missed it. What? Go ahead and
It's at
touch
the
on it.
very end of the credits.
Yep, I missed it.
Unfortunately, it does leave it open to potentially come back again. But I don't think it should. I think they should end it where it is.
What
And I
was
don't
it?
think
What
a lot of
happened?
people knew that there was a bonus scene because that's the first I had heard of it. It just happened because I downloaded it onto my phone to watch on the plane. And so I'm hitting through just so it doesn't say, "Oh, do you want to resume playing?" And then all of a sudden it says, "Do you want to skip the credits?" And I'm like, "Yeah, perfect." Thinking it's just going to go to the end, so it'll say that it was fully played. Stops with like a minute 30 left on the runtime, and there was a bonus scene.
What was
So
it? Can
yeah,
you
I
tell me,
didn't know
Shan?
that.
I didn't see it. Can you tell me what about it? I didn't see it.
It just shows the cat, which to me is always going to be Binks, but it's not.
Yeah.
um, and it's in the shop and it finds a box and it basically says Black Flame 2 or something along those lines. So basically there's another Black Flame candle out there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
think they'll probably just wait and see how this movie does financially. Let's jump
Yeah.
into our cons. Honestly, I don't really have much to say bad, without, going to a full review deep dive. Nothing really stood out to me that I just absolutely hated or disliked. The only thing I can really say is I just hope they stop here, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like this sequel justified itself. I feel like if you do a third, you're kind of just reaching and I mean, no offense to the new young witches, new actresses, but Hocus Pocus to me is the Sanderson sisters.
Right.
I'm not really invested in them. Maybe if you want to spin off and call it a different name, perhaps maybe you can do it. But I
Right.
want Hocus Pocus to end right here, uh, just because I'm going to be one of those toxic fans who think this isn't Hocus Pocus without them. But
Yeah.
that's really my only con is I just hope they end it right here. They don't try and extend it too much and make too much out of nothing.
Right. Nope. I agree with that. Um, I liked how we definitely got more Doug Jones in this. That added to it because that was a con to the last one is they just didn't use him as well as he could, and he's such a phenomenal actor.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually liked almost all the actors. The dad, the mayor, he was just he was goofy like he is in most things.
Yeah.
I don't think he really served much of a purpose, like because all of a sudden they realized that they had the daughter that they could go for what they needed, and
Hmm.
um, yeah, I think the story was pretty much everything you needed without a whole lot of filler. I I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it, which like I said, I was kind of putting off watching it because started hearing everything, and it's like I was so excited for it, and then to hear people weren't a big fan, it's like so I think that was probably good to kind of go in with those kind of non-existent expectations that I actually thought it was pretty good, and I don't have a lot to complain about. Like I said, could do without some of the singing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes
I
sense in
agree.
some scenes and not others. But yeah, I think it
I'm
worked.
with you. I'm with you. I don't really have much. I mean, if I do another rewatch, thoroughly, dissect it scene by scene, I'm sure there's things that I wasn't a
Yeah,
huge fan of, or this didn't do it for me, et cetera, et cetera. But this is just a reaction, and I feel like if you go into the movie without super high expectations, I mean, this is a Disney movie. It's a sequel from a movie 19 years ago. I mean, you
that
shouldn't
hit
have the highest
has a
expect. Just
huge
have
cult
fun with it.
following.
Just have fun with the movie. Enjoy it. I feel like it's definitely a worthy sequel, and the Sanderson sisters are iconic. I feel like, I mean, that's one of those movies. It's like Hocus Pocus to me is like a Christmas story on Christmas. It's like it's a movie I have to watch every year,
Yeah,
multiple times. It's ingrained into me, and I'm gonna add Hocus Pocus 2 to the rotation, and I'll buy the Blu-ray when it comes out, just because I like owning physical copies. Uh, but
you don't have to
I
anymore.
had a lot of fun with the movie. I'll say that. And Shane, like you were mentioning, people just love to be haters, honestly. I've already seen some people complain that Halloween Ends sucks, who got the early viewing and all that. It's like everything sucks to horror fans these days, it seems
Right.
like. Do y'all
Well,
like
and that was we
anything?
had the discussion in regards to Halloween Kills. Some of us really, really enjoyed it. Other people thought it was the worst thing ever. And it's like there was no like in between. And
Yep.
it's like, how can I don't remember if it I think it was Mike that did a write up on it on the blog about it. I don't remember now if it was him or if it was Brian just talking about the toxic fandom and how that and it's like that's the point we've come to, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, it's just every time you get on those Facebook groups or read comments on Instagram, et cetera, it's like this movie sucked. The original was better, or this
Yeah.
was. It's just all kind of fill in the blank. With the excuses or the hate. But
Yeah. And you get the
it's like
exact opposite where people will say it's the most amazing thing ever. And you just keep hearing that. And then you watch it and you're like, uh, I feel completely the opposite.
yeah. I mean, I saw somebody the other day comment that 18 and kills were awful. I was like, well, that's your opinion, brother. Not everybody's opinion. Because
Right.
I finally boiled over. But just back to Hocus Pocus 2. Uh, Closing thoughts. I went into the movie with pretty low expectations, and I had a lot of fun with it. The opening was great with the kind of like the witch throwback. Their origins in Salem. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I loved them coming back when they were brought back from the candle or whatever. I can't, I don't
Hmm.
remember everything. I've only seen the movie one and a half times, honestly, but
Yeah.
it was fun. The witches were great. Had a great time with it. The ending was emotional. Uh, I feel like you're the same with me. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie when I was younger, and it's
Hmm.
just a part of me now. It's a part of my Halloween rotation. This one
Yep.
and Trick or Treat and other Halloween, like
Nightmare Before
those.
Christmas.
Yep. I mean, I'm just saying for like Halloween movies, like those are in my rotation for the rest of my
Oh,
life. So
that's an argument though. Nightmare Before Christmas is both a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie.
that's true. That's true. And fun and sneak peek, we're going to review Nightmare Before Christmas in December. It's going to be our Christmas bonus this year.
We put the
Mike's going to make
decorations up in October and they stay up till January.
heck yeah. Mike's going to make me suffer through that one. I'm not the biggest fan of it anymore. I loved it as a kid, but recently I was like, oh god, I kind of don't like this. But Shane, you got any final thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2? I had fun with it. Is
I
it the
did
best
too.
movie
Yeah.
ever? But it's fun.
I think it helped going in with kind of no expectations and I just kind of watched it for what it was. And it was also nice being on the plane, honestly, because there's no distractions. It was just actually getting to sit there and watch a movie, put my headphones in, and it was like so all I focused on was the movie. So I think I think that was a good thing to have. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm definitely I will watch it again at some point and see. I'm sure that there will be things like you said that you notice and you're like, maybe that didn't work as well when you see it again, and or
Hmm.
maybe they will. Who knows?
Yeah, and you brought up our blog. I can't remember who wrote it, but I wrote one recently about Halloween ends. Just because there's a lot of history coming to an end in this movie,
Yeah,
and this movie there's a lot of history with this movie, and it's coming to an end most likely. I can't
right.
foresee Doug Jones and the Sanderson sisters coming
I
back
was
and doing
gonna
another
say, I
one.
want to say, I mean, Bette Midler, I know she's getting up there, like, but even I think Sarah Jessica Parker's the youngest of the three of them, and I think she's still, God, I don't even know. I think she's at least in her 60s.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like we just need to appreciate the fact that these iconic characters are coming back and giving us one more time. They're doing like
I'm
that's why I
I'm
was
glad
telling
they did it, because if
absolutely.
you would have tried to bring three other actors in to play them, I would have been out. Like, I don't even know that I would have watched it.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. It's just like I told William Brent Bell when he came on the show with Orphan First Kill. If it hadn't have been Isabel Furman,
Yeah,
I don't think I would have liked this. I don't think I would have liked the movie. I would not have liked Hocus Pocus 2 without the Sanderson sisters, the originals. Like
right.
if they're alive and kicking and they're able to do it, I want them to do it. It's like
Yeah, there's some movies that you can't replace who plays them.
yeah, exactly. And but then again, I don't want to get into that toxic fandom, with like the new Hellraiser. It's got to be Doug Bradley. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard the new
I
Pinhead is great. So I mean,
I was going to say I've heard that great things about it. One of the professors from Edinburgh, she does stuff with horror and stuff, and she watched it. And I talked to her at Erie Horror Fest last week, and she said she recommended it. She's like, it is absolutely worth the watch.
so yeah, exactly. Just give a movie a chance. Don't go in expecting to hate. That's my message to all horror fans. Give everything a chance. I'm preaching to myself a little bit because honestly, I hate Hellraiser franchise, but I'll at least give the new one a chance whenever we review it because we might be reviewing it next month. But final thoughts, Shan. I enjoyed Hocus Pocus too,
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
and like you mentioned, whenever you were on the plane watching it, no distractions. Like I was so entertained watching it. Like I wasn't even like looking at my phone or anything. I just
Yeah,
watched the movie. Like I might have looked at my Apple Watch if it like buzzed, but like I didn't look at my phone. I didn't scroll Twitter, Instagram, or nothing. I watched the movie, and I hate to say it nowadays because our brains are so fixated looking at our phones now. But that's kind
yeah,
of a big deal if a movie's entertaining enough where you're locked in the whole time.
right. Nope, I agree. And that's after doing that, it's like I've done that with my daughter where we'll sit down to watch a movie that neither of us have seen, and it's like, okay, phones off, don't touch the phones. Like, we are just watching the movie. That's all it is.
Yeah, I need to
And I
do that
think
more
I
often
think as a
too.
whole, we all need to do that more. Like, and my ADD is like ridiculous all the time, anyways. Like, drive my family crazy sometimes. But it's everybody anymore that we just need to watch what we're
Disconnect.
watching and do what we're doing and not
You need
do
to
18 other
disconnect from
things.
these. You got to disconnect from this thing sometimes
Yep.
because you lose the connection around you. I agree 100%. Just want to thank all the fans and listeners. Really appreciate y'all support. Just want to say happy Halloween. It's all just a bunch of hocus pocus and what is it? What a glorious morning. It makes
They're
me sick.
glorious. Makes me sick.
Yeah. Just want to thank the fans one more time. You guys are awesome. This is going to be a big month. We really appreciate all support. I want to thank Shan for joining me and doing this.
Yep.
Y'all have a good one. Happy Halloween.